Have you ever found yourself in a situation, maybe at work, maybe somewhere else, just so overwhelming,
Mhm.
so seemingly intractable that you just wished, there was a shortcut, some way to get to real profound change?
Oh, definitely. Or maybe you've tried to help someone, a colleague perhaps, but felt like you were just, well, scratching the surface.
Exactly. Unable to reach what would truly transform their experience, right?
That feeling is incredibly common, isn't it?
Mm.
That elusive aha moment,
Oh,
or
yeah.
maybe the secret ingredient that moves things beyond just getting better
Hmm.
to genuine, lasting transformation.
Absolutely. And that's precisely what we're tackling today in this deep dive. We're going to explore the unique intersection of, well, art and science behind truly effective coaching,
Hmm.
specifically within the context of school transformation. And our guide for this journey, it's Alina Aguilar's really insightful book, The Art of Coaching Effective Strategies for School Transformation.
Yeah, it's a fantastic resource.
Yeah.
So our mission today really is to unpack what transformational coaching truly entails,
Hmm.
why it's so vital for educators, and frankly, entire school systems.
Hmm.
And crucially, how it actively works to create that profound, lasting change we're talking about.
Think of this as your essential guide, really, to understanding a remarkably powerful approach. It's
Right.
about igniting deep-seated change in education.
We'll explore the underlying mindset, the practical tools,
Yeah, the nuts and bolts.
and the ingenious strategies that, define an artful coach.
Okay, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So, to kick things off, let's unpack the why. What is transformational coaching fundamentally, and why is it so indispensable for our schools today?
Well, Aguilar starts her book with a really compelling personal story, actually, about her own coach, Leslie Pletner.
Hmm.
She describes how Leslie provided this unconditional acceptance
Wow.
that left her feeling renewed and empowered. And this directly led to like rapid improvement in her own coaching practice.
Okay, so she experienced it firsthand.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is that Aguilar initially found what Leslie did almost
Mm.
magical. Hard to pinpoint. She called it an art.
Right, that makes sense. Some people just seem to have that knack.
They do. But the core premise of her work, and really our discussion today, is to make that art explicit,
Yeah.
to sort of break down the coach's thoughts, their beliefs, knowledge, core values, even their feelings, so they
Oh.
become learnable. It's this idea that while coaching is an art, like any art form, the process of producing a piece of art can be broken down into teachable elements.
So it's not just magic, it's a profound, replicable skill.
Precisely. That's the key takeaway.
That's such a powerful distinction, isn't it? It shifts it from something like innate that only a few people have
Right.
to something we can all potentially cultivate. When we talk about this type of coaching, Aguilar sets an incredibly bold vision.
She really does.
She states her coaching aims for transformation of the adults with whom I work, the institutions in which they work, the lives of the children and communities they serve, and our society as a whole.
I mean, it's huge.
It is. That's not just about tweaking behavior slightly. It's about fundamentally transforming behaviors, beliefs, and maybe even one's very way of being.
Yeah, and she's quite clear that transformation isn't just some distant goal you reach at the end. It's both the destination and the journey.
Okay. The process itself is transformative.
Exactly. And she directly challenges that common mindset, the
Yeah.
cynicism that genuine transformation in schools is unimaginable or unattainable.
Which you hear a lot,
You
unfortunately.
do. And she pushes back on that by drawing these really powerful parallels.
Mhm.
From the natural world, think about life emerging from stardust,
Wow.
and from human
In history.
massive shifts like women's suffrage, Gandhi's nonviolent movement, the end of apartheid.
Right. Huge societal changes.
Huge. So her argument is, if those sweeping transformations are possible, why should we limit our belief in the transformation of schools?
That really reframes the entire conversation, doesn't it? It connects directly to this idea that, to truly meet student needs, we first have to transform the experience for the adults who work in schools.
Yes, absolutely critical.
Nah.
Coaching helps address the social, emotional, and learning needs of educators themselves.
Needs that often get overlooked, right? In the push for quick fixes or test scores.
Totally. And there's a great example from the book that illustrates this really beautifully. Aguilar coached an English department
Okay.
that was really grappling with student skill gaps. And through a guided inquiry process, the teachers collectively identified what those gaps were. But here's the key part.
Yeah.
They designed their own data gathering process during student registration.
Oh, wow. So they took ownership.
Complete ownership. This allowed them to get crucial information from day one, empowering them to plan proactively. That's a tangible, educator-driven transformation.
Not some top-down mandate.
Exactly.
So for you, the listener, maybe you're an administrator or just someone thinking about how schools work. What does all this mean? What's the real impact of coaching?
Well, it means recognizing that educators need ongoing, deep support. We often talk about Malcolm Gladwell's, that famous 10,000 hours of deliberate practice for mastery.
Right.
For school professionals, that translates to about 7 years, roughly.
Yeah.
So it's not about finding deficits or blaming teachers.
Yeah.
It's about realizing that most teachers and principals aren't resistant to improvement. They want professional development. They want to master their craft.
They want to get better.
Of course. And the research backs this up really powerfully. Coaching is repeatedly cited as an essential component of an effective professional development program.
Okay, so it's not just a nice to have, it's essential. Why?
Because it goes beyond just superficial training, you see. It builds will, skill, knowledge, and capacity. And it does this by reaching into an educator's intellect, their behaviors, their practices, but also their core beliefs, values, and even feelings.
It gets personal in a professional way.
It has to. It creates this unique relationship where a client feels genuinely cared for. And that fosters an environment for deep reflection, the courage to take risks, truly powerful conversations, and maybe celebrating even the smallest steps of growth.
That sounds profound. She even mentions it can foster healing.
Yes, and build resilient, joyful communities within a school, which is so needed.
Definitely.
Plus, it promotes sustained implementation of learning. It's not just learning something in a workshop and forgetting it.
Right, the follow-through.
And reciprocal accountability, especially when colleagues work together, guided by a coach. This also naturally supports collective leadership.
So it distributes the responsibility, keeps the focus on teaching and learning.
Exactly, rather than just isolated compliance or top-down directives.
And the numbers, you mentioned research. Are there stats on this?
There are. A really compelling 3-year study on literacy coaches working with K-2 teachers found that student literacy learning increased by 16% in year 1, 28% in year 2,
Still climbing.
and an impressive 32% in year 3.
That kind of sustained, measurable impact, well, it's hard to ignore, isn't it?
It really is. But it's also vital to acknowledge, and Aguilar is very clear about this.
Okay.
Coaching is not a panacea.
Right. No silver bullets.
Exactly. She quotes Diane Ravitch, who wisely cautions there are no shortcuts, no utopias, and no silver bullets in education.
That's a crucial point. So coaching is what? One piece of a bigger puzzle.
Precisely. It's one piece, an essential piece of the multi-layered approach needed for true school transformation.
So it needs to work alongside other things.
Yes. Things like ensuring living wages for educators, improving working conditions, fostering respect, increasing funding, refining curriculum, strengthening community connections. All of it matters.
It's systemic.
It has to be.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the ultimate goal to transform our education system and the experiences and outcomes of the children it is meant to serve, coaching is presented as this powerful, human-centered catalyst in that much grander vision.
Okay, that makes sense. So if we're serious about this transformation, a coach needs more than just good intentions. They need a precise toolkit, a clear mindset.
Absolutely.
Let's delve into what Aguilar defines coaching to be, and maybe just as importantly, what it isn't.
Good idea. She stresses that coaching is not consulting.
Okay, what's the difference there?
A consultant is often the expert who trains someone. A coach, in this model, facilitates the client's own learning. They help the client find the answers within themselves or their context.
Got it. Pulling it out, not pouring it in.
Exactly. And critically, she highlights that it should never be linked to enforcement or disciplinary measures.
Oh, that seems really important. Why?
Because that connection can immediately disempower educators. It erodes trust instantly if the coach is also the evaluator.
Yeah, you wouldn't be honest, would you?
Not fully. The whole point is to interrupt those unhelpful power dynamics by having an incredibly clear definition of the coach's role, purpose, and actions. That clarity builds the strongest relationships right from the start.
Makes sense. So how do we define it then?
Tim Gawley's definition is one she uses, and it captures it perfectly. Coaching is the art of creating an environment through conversation and a way of being that facilitates the process by which a person can move toward desired goals in a fulfilling manner.
Creating an environment. I like that. And she builds on cognitive coaching too, right? What's
Oh,
that
yeah.
about?
Yeah, that's a key foundation. It's not just about surface-level behaviors. Cognitive coaching is a specific methodology that really zeroes in on metacognition.
Thinking about thinking.
Exactly. Helping coaches guide clients to consciously explore and reshape their own thinking patterns, their assumptions, their beliefs,
Ah.
because that's what ultimately transforms their behavior, rather than just focusing on the external actions alone.
Deep work.
Very. And this leads us directly into what Aguilar calls her Transformational Coaching Manifesto.
Ooh, sounds serious.
It is. It's a powerful set of core beliefs that she argues must underpin effective practice. Authentic coaching, she says, always emerges directly from a coach's deeply held values and beliefs.
Okay. What are some of those core beliefs?
Well, 3 really stand out. First, and maybe most importantly, no coaching without trust.
We talked about trust, yeah.
It isn't just a nice to have, it defines the entire relationship. It takes time to build, it's incredibly fragile. And it's absolutely critical because, let's be honest, educators often feel under attack in the current climate.
That vulnerability makes trust even more essential.
Totally.
Yeah.
Her second belief is equally profound. Be unattached to outcome.
Okay, that sounds counterintuitive. Isn't the coach trying to help achieve an outcome?
It is tricky. She presents it as a philosophical stance, urging coaches to release their own agenda for the client. But here's the fascinating contradiction she names.
Yeah.
Transformational coaches are deeply attached to larger outcomes, like justice and equity.
Right. That's the whole point of transformation.
Exactly. So the art, she suggests, is for the coach to learn to hold both truths simultaneously. Be unattached to their own prescribed outcome for the client in this specific situation, yet remain fiercely committed to that larger vision of a just and equitable world.
That's a complex balance to strike, holding both.
It is. And her third belief, one that I find really deeply inspiring, is simply, we can transform our education system,
Despite all the challenges.
despite everything. Aguilar insists this is a choice, an act of audacious faith, she calls it, even when faced with widespread cynicism or hopelessness. You choose to operate from a place of possibility.
Wow. Audacious faith. I like that.
Me too. Now, to navigate the complexities of school transformation with this mindset, a coach needs essential analytical lenses.
Lenses, like ways of seeing things.
Exactly. She metaphorically calls it the optical refractor. These aren't just random insights. They provide a crucial theoretical basis. It stops you from just, throwing strands of spaghetti on the wall and hoping something sticks.
Okay, give me an example. What's one lens?
First up, the lens of change management. This helps coaches assess things like incentives, resources, skills, knowledge, and crucially, the will to change within a system or an individual.
So asking, is this person or this school actually ready and equipped for this change?
Precisely. Like evaluating a principal's will to change for a specific new initiative, for example.
Makes sense.
What else?
Then there's the lens of systems thinking. This is huge. Schools are inherently complex systems, right? Everything is connected. This lens helps us understand that what we observe, even stuff that looks really dysfunctional, is often exactly what is supposed to happen in the system as it is currently designed.
Whoa, okay. So the system produces the results it's designed for, even if they're bad results.
Kind of, yeah. It compels us to look beyond the surface symptoms, look at the pieces, the whole, and the interactions to truly understand and then change the system.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A student struggling with homework might not just be lazy. Through a systems lens, it could connect to larger socioeconomic issues, lack of resources at home, or even the school's communication structures with families. It's bigger than the individual.
Got it. Looking at the whole picture, what other lenses? The lens of adult learning is fundamental. Adults are not blank slates, right? We come with many life experiences.
For better or worse.
Exactly. It means coaches have rich internal resources to work with, but also maybe existing patterns or beliefs that might need some undoing.
Okay.
And adults fundamentally want control over the what, who, how, why, and where of our learning.
Yeah.
We need to see the relevance to our own practice.
Which is why that facilitative coaching approach works so well.
Precisely. It respects adult learners. Then there's the lens of emotional intelligence.
Okay, EQ.
Yeah, but it's twofold here. First, self-awareness for the coach, recognizing their own feelings, limits, strengths.
Right, knowing yourself.
And second, organizational awareness, understanding the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, power relationships and dynamics within a school system. Who holds influence? What are the unwritten rules?
Crucial for navigating school politics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And related to that, crucially, is the lens of systemic oppression.
Okay, talk about that.
This lens helps coaches understand how oppression isn't just about individual prejudice or bad actors. It's about how bias and inequity get embedded within the systems and structures themselves.
Even seemingly neutral policies.
Especially those. A coach might use this lens to help a school leader see how, say, a strict, tardy policy disproportionately impacts students from low-income families who rely on unreliable public transport. It reveals a systemic issue, not just individual student lateness.
That's powerful, seeing the structure behind the problem.
Yes. And finally, the lens of inquiry. This is grounded in the idea that the way we pose the question determines the nature of the answer.
So the questions we ask shape the solutions we find.
Exactly. It affirms that we don't yet know everything we need to know to create truly transformed systems. So it's a powerful invitation for the coach and client to ask questions together, to collaboratively seek solutions rather than the coach having all the answers.
I like that. Partnership and inquiry. Okay, so those are the lenses. But Aguilar also outlines some really practical, foundational steps a coach should take before they even start coaching, right?
Yes, absolutely. Groundwork is key.
Hmm.
First, gather relevant documents.
Like what?
Things like school calendars, schedules, organizational maps, professional development plans, curriculum guides, assessment tools, site plans.
Okay. The official stuff. Why?
It's not just administrative busy work. These documents provide vital insight into the existing systems, structures, and decision-making. And honestly, it immediately builds the coach's credibility. Shows you've done your homework.
Makes sense. What else?
Next, gather and analyze formal data. Think graduation rates, attendance, suspension, expulsion reports, test scores, demographics.
Looking for trends.
Yeah, look for patterns, outliers, and surprises.
Okay.
Compile initial questions based on the data. But, and this is crucial, it's equally vital to explore how the clients themselves think and feel about this data. How do they currently use it or not use it?
So understand their relationship with data too.
Exactly. Then, explore beliefs about change. This means asking questions to really understand how clients perceive power structures, their own individual agency, their ability to make a difference, and even the very rate at which they believe change can realistically occur. Aguilar emphasizes that beliefs, whether they're conscious or sort of lurking in the shadows, profoundly impact action.
If you don't believe change is possible, you won't act to make it happen.
Pretty much. A coach should also identify current systemic fires.
Fires. Like crises.
Sort of. Those immediate recurring problems you see all the time. The new teacher who keeps forgetting to submit grades. The experienced teacher frantically cutting out hundreds of triangles for a lesson last minute.
Okay, I know those scenarios.
Right. While they look like individual issues, Aguilar argues they are often symptoms of systems that are breaking down, failing, or simply don't exist.
So the fire is a sign of a deeper system problem.
Exactly. The coach's job isn't just to help put out that one fire, but to help clients shift their focus, to move from constantly putting out fires to instead investing time and energy into installing automatic sprinkler systems.
Building better systems to prevent the fires.
That's the goal. Proactive system change.
Okay. And one last foundational step.
Yes, and it's crucial, but often overlooked.
Yeah.
Coaches must engage in self-awareness exercises for themselves.
Walk the talk, basically.
Absolutely. Use the same tools they might suggest to clients, like self-awareness surveys. And critically, keep a reflective journal.
Why journaling?
It cultivates awareness of their own perceptions, thoughts, feelings, judgments, things that might inadvertently block effective coaching without them even realizing it.
Got it. Know thyself to coach others.
That's the idea.
Okay, so once a coach is prepared with this mindset, these lenses, this foundational knowledge, what does coaching in action actually look like?
Well, it profoundly begins, as we've touched on, with building trust and relationship.
Right. Foundation first.
A coach must establish credibility, maybe by showing some knowledge about the client's situation. But here's the interesting twist she emphasizes.
Yeah.
In that initial meeting, you absolutely must allow the client to be the expert on their own experience.
Let them lead.
Yes. The advice from the book is actually quite counterintuitive. When in doubt, start with as little information in your mind as possible.
Wow. That's fascinating. Less is more, initially.
In a way, yes. It's about creating that essential space for the client to share their perspective, to feel truly heard right from the beginning.
Okay. How else do you build that trust?
Aguilar shares how looking for small, human, personal connections helps. Sharing a brief snippet about having a toddler yourself or discussing children in general.
Ah, finding common ground.
It helps her care more about my client, she says, and see them as a whole person beyond just their professional label. While being open about who you are as a coach is important, the focus must always, always remain on the client.
Keep the spotlight on them.
Absolutely. And proactively addressing potential differences, gender, ethnicity, cultural background, can be a powerful way to accelerate trust building. Don't shy away from it.
Or acknowledge the elephant in the room, maybe.
If needed, yes. Conversely, there are clear ways to avoid damaging trust. Listen incredibly well. Genuinely validate their efforts and growth. Show compassion. Always ask permission before offering input or suggestions.
Asking permission, that's key.
It is. And absolutely, unequivocally, honor confidentiality. A coach must be able to look a principal in the eye and say, I'm sorry, I can't share that specific information with you.
That boundary is non-negotiable.
Totally. As some say, trust is like a thin cord, easily broken.
And sometimes a client might come in already lacking trust, right, based on past experiences.
Exactly. Aguilar points out that sometimes a lack of trust has nothing to do with us at all. It reflects their history. So it's a good reminder for coaches not to take it personally, but just to continue doing the work of building.
Okay. So trust is established. What's next in the coaching process?
The next key step is setting transformational goals. This isn't just about ticking boxes. It involves working collaboratively with clients.
Together.
Yes. To identify standards and criteria, maybe using rubrics of effective teaching, for example, that are clearly developmental and growth-oriented, not punitive or evaluative.
Focused on getting better, not judging. And the goals themselves. Any guidelines?
Yes. She uses the SMART E acronym. Goals should be strategic and specific, measurable, attainable, results-based, time-bound, and equitable.
SMART E, Kada.
And Aguilar stresses that the most effective goals usually focus on a clear change in practice.
Like what?
Like, I will provide specific verbal and written feedback to students on their writing assignments at least twice per unit. That's clearer and more actionable than a vague goal like, I want to increase my emotional intelligence.
Right. Focus on the behavior you want to change. But what about those less tangible things like emotional intelligence or stress?
Great question. She clarifies that things like emotional intelligence, stress management, or improving relationships can be crucial sub-goals.
Ah, okay.
While they're harder to measure directly, they're often essential for enabling that deeper transformational change in teaching practice. A skilled coach always tries to figure out the client's zone of proximal development, their ZPD.
Vygotsky, right. What they can do with support.
Exactly. To ensure goals are attainable but still stretch the client just enough. Not too easy, not overwhelming.
Finding that sweet spot for growth.
Precisely. And the coach's role in offering belief and support here is just vital. Acknowledging a client's nervousness, maybe?
Yeah.
And then saying something encouraging but realistic, like, okay, this is a focused, narrow goal. It might feel like a stretch, but I believe you can meet it. Let's go for it. That encouragement is foundational.
That belief can make all the difference. Okay, so we have trust, we have goals. Let's get into the conversations themselves. Facilitative coaching. What does that involve?
Well, moving into the heart of facilitative coaching conversations, the single most fundamental skill, bar none, is deep listening.
Listening. Sounds simple, but it's not, is it?
It's not at all. Aguilar calls it the core elemental foundational skill for a coach. It's what builds those relationships we talked about. It can foster healing. And it even inspires clients to listen more profoundly to others in their own lives, students, colleagues, families. It ripples outwards.
Can you give an example of that deep listening in action?
Yeah, there's a powerful example in the book about a principal named James. He was really struggling with some racial discipline data in his school. It was painful for him.
Okay.
The coach didn't jump in with immediate solutions or strategies. First, she just listened. Listened to his pain, truly heard his struggle and frustration, and then, gently, she helped him see how those intense emotions were actually blocking his ability to take effective action.
So listening created the space for him to see things differently.
Exactly. Within facilitative coaching, Aguilar identifies a few distinct approaches a coach might use. One is the cathartic approach.
Cathartic, like getting things off your chest.
Precisely. It explicitly invites clients to talk about their feelings, to release pent-up emotions, often using open-ended questions like, what's coming up for you right now?
Yeah.
Or how are you feeling about that?
So the coach needs to be comfortable with emotion.
Very comfortable. And highly attuned to nonverbal cues, body language, tone of voice, all of that.
Okay. What's another approach?
Then there's the catalytic approach. This aims to provoke new thinking, to help clients see things from new perspectives, to challenge their assumptions.
How do you do that without being confrontational?
It's subtle. It could be asking why. Repeatedly, why does that happen and why does that happen, to really drill down and surface deeply embedded systemic issues like communication breakdowns.
The 5 whys technique, kind of?
Kind of, yeah. Or it might involve asking a client to tell a story, but from another person's perspective, to build empathy and shift their viewpoint.
Interesting. Provoking thought gently.
Right. And then there's the supportive approach. This is all about validating growth, highlighting successes, building confidence.
Celebrating the wins.
Absolutely. But it needs to be authentic and specific, not just good job, but pointing out the micro movements of growth you've observed. Coaches help clients actively shift their awareness, especially away from our natural negative bias.
How so?
Well, our brains are often like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones, right? We remember the criticism more than the praise.
Sadly, yes.
So the supportive coach intentionally helps the client notice and internalize the positive shifts, the progress they are making.
Rewiring that focus.
A bit, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, underpinning all of this is the careful art of asking powerful questions.
Okay, what makes a question powerful in coaching?
Well, there are different types. There are clarifying questions to elicit precise details and specifics like, how many people did you say were in the room again? But crucially, you only use these when the detail is really critical and you don't interrupt a client's emotional processing just to get a fact straight.
Timing and relevance are key.
Definitely. And then there are probing questions. These are designed to deepen thinking, explore possibilities, and they should never contain a hidden suggestion or your own opinion disguised as a question.
So no leading questions.
No, genuine curiosity. Examples might be, what's another way you might approach that? Or, what do you think would happen if you tried X? Or, what assumptions might be underneath that belief?
Opening doors, not pointing the way.
Beautifully put.
Okay, so that's facilitative coaching, guiding, helping, pulling. But you mentioned sometimes a coach needs to be more directive.
Yes. While facilitative is often the default, there are specific instances when directive or authoritative coaching is not just appropriate, but necessary.
When would that be?
It's typically when a coach recognizes a really fixed mental model, a rut story, or a paralyzing web of belief that's genuinely holding a client back from necessary change, maybe even harming students.
So when someone is really stuck, or maybe their beliefs are causing inequity.
Exactly. And taking this stance requires, as Aguilar puts it, a potent combination of toughness and compassion. It's not about being harsh. It's about caring enough to challenge directly.
Tough love, maybe. How does it look?
It can manifest in a couple of ways. One is the informative stance. This is pretty straightforward. The coach directly imparts knowledge, provides resources, or clarifies facts.
Like just telling them something they need to know?
Right, like actually the district policy on that changed last month, or even just report cards are due a week before the date printed on the school calendar because of processing time. Just clear information.
Okay, simple enough. What's the other way?
The other is a more direct confrontational approach. This involves directly addressing discrepancies, especially when they concern inequities, and often leveraging data to make the point undeniable.
Confrontational sounds intense.
It can be, but it's done with care and purpose. The example from the book about Marcus, the focal student, is powerful here.
Remind me.
The coach shared observed data showing that 97% of the staff's interactions with this one black student, Marcus, were negative or corrective.
Wow, 97%.
Yeah. Presenting that stark data, neutrally but directly, forced the staff to confront their unconscious biases and challenge the negative generalizations they held about him. It wasn't comfortable, but it led to a profound shift in their approach towards him and other students.
So using data to confront harmful patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Done carefully, it can be incredibly transformative.
Okay. So coaching isn't just talking. Aguilar's toolkit includes a lot of activities too, right? Beyond just conversation.
Oh, absolutely. What's really interesting is how she integrates these creative and active approaches into the coaching process. It's not just sitting and chatting.
Like what kind of activities?
Well, for instance, visualization exercises, helping clients or even whole staffs vividly imagine a desired future state.
How does that work?
You might guide them. Imagine yourself walking into your classroom next year. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel? Makes the goal more tangible, more motivating.
Creating a mental picture. Cool. What else?
Another really powerful technique is role-playing.
Ah, practicing conversations.
Exactly. Practicing interactions that maybe went poorly in the past or ones the client is nervous about, like having a difficult conversation with a parent or colleague.
So the coach plays the other person.
Often, yes. The coach takes on the other person role, but importantly stays within the client's zone of proximal development, making it challenging but not overwhelming. And sometimes using humor can help diffuse the anxiety around it. The key message is role play is practice, not performance.
Takes the pressure off. I like that.
Yeah. She also highlights some powerful data-driven and observational tools. For example, videotaping.
Ooh, watching yourself on video can be tough.
It can be. But it's incredibly impactful for debriefing specific teaching practices, and it can be used carefully in that confrontational approach we discussed,
Oh.
especially to highlight observed behaviors that contribute to inequities, like showing a teacher concrete video evidence of how they might be calling on boys disproportionately or using a different tone of voice with certain students. Seeing is believing sometimes.
Hard to argue with the tape.
Right. And surveys are another tool. Administering surveys to stakeholders, students, staff, even families to gather input on school culture, climate, emotional intelligence.
Getting broader feedback.
Yes, and crucially, tracking changes over time. If you implement a new initiative, surveys can help measure its impact. But the key here is always ensuring anonymity and being crystal clear about how that data will actually be used. Building trust around data collection is vital.
Absolutely. Don't want people feeling spied on.
Never.
These creative and data-driven methods really show the breadth of the coach's art, don't they? It's not just one thing.
Not at all. It's a whole repertoire.
Okay, so after all this work, the trust-building, goal-setting, conversations, activities, how do we ensure the transformation actually sticks? How do we sustain it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's important to start by acknowledging that coaching, while incredibly rewarding, can also lead to coach fatigue.
Burnout for the coach?
It can happen. The book is candid about this. Coaching is a learned skill. It takes practice, intentionality, and time to master. Those early stages can be particularly tiring,
Why?
especially as coaches consciously shift from maybe a more natural directive or teaching stance to a consistently facilitative one. It takes energy, but Aguilar frames it as just part of the coach's own learning trajectory. It gets easier with practice.
Okay, so acknowledging the effort involved, how else do we sustain the work?
Well, what's fascinating here is the challenge of demonstrating the value of coaching.
Making the case for it.
Exactly. Because, as she points out, our work often happens in private conversations behind closed doors.
Right. It's not always visible.
Which makes it incredibly hard for others, especially administrators or people making funding decisions, to truly see its value and impact. So coaches must actively find ways to share our practice, ethically of course, to make their profound impact visible.
So true. If the transformation is happening but nobody knows how or why, it's vulnerable, isn't it? Budgets get cut.
Precisely. Which leads directly to the importance of a team and professional development for coaches themselves.
Coaches need coaching too.
Absolutely. Being part of a team of coaches provides structured opportunities for reflection and professional development, often using specific protocols to analyze practice together.
Learning from each other.
Yes. And perhaps just as importantly, it offers invaluable emotional support. That sense of shared understanding and collegiality is almost impossible to garner elsewhere in the often isolating school system.
Having people who get it.
Totally. And any PD for coaches, just like for teachers, should follow adult learning principles. Start with a clear definition of the necessary skills and knowledge for a coach, assess where each coach currently is, and then provide targeted opportunities for growth. No one-size-fits-all workshops.
Tailored support. Makes sense. What else is crucial for sustainability?
Crucially, coaches need ongoing self-awareness. We touched on this earlier with journaling.
Right, that internal work.
It means cultivating a constant awareness of how one's own limited viewpoints affect our work. We all have biases and blind spots, and equally important, how we are received by different clients. How do our identity markers impact the relationship?
Being aware of your impact.
Yes. A truly culturally competent coach is effective across differences, genuinely caring for and committed to clients regardless of their background or identity. It requires ongoing learning and reflection.
That commitment to cross-cultural effectiveness seems huge.
It is. And again, that simple but tremendously effective practice Aguilar advocates is daily journaling. even just 10 minutes.
Still journaling.
Still journaling.
Yeah.
She insists it's a powerful tool for clarifying thoughts, noticing patterns in one's own coaching practice, identifying biases, and tracking personal and professional growth over time.
A discipline for reflection.
Exactly.
So, as we look at the path ahead, sustaining this kind of deep work, what's the final message from the book?
The book emphasizes that true transformation, the kind that lasts, requires slowing down. It requires deep listening, mindful action, and taking the time to celebrate every single victory, no matter how
Not
small.
slowing down. In schools. That sounds radical.
It does, doesn't it? Aguilar cautions that operating from urgency is dangerous. It often leads to rushed, superficial fixes. Instead, she suggests we should harness our energy, even our righteous anger about injustice,
Yeah.
but channel it to act with compassion today. Focus on the present actions grounded in values.
Mindful action, not panicked reaction.
Precisely. And the author shares what she calls a little secret about coaching.
Ooh, tell me.
She says that witnessing her clients learning, seeing their commitment, watching their growth, it actually expands her own fearlessness. It fuels her faith in the possibility of transformation, even when faced with the really challenging realities of underfunded, overburdened schools.
So the work itself sustains the coach's hope.
In a way, yes. It creates a positive feedback loop of hope and action.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that long arc.
It echoes Martin Luther King Jr.'s profound words, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let us realize the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Ultimately, Aguilar suggests the belief in and the active pursuit of transformation. It's a powerful choice we make every day.
A choice for audacious faith.
Yes.
So we've taken a really deep dive today into Elena Aguilar's The Art of Coaching. We've unpacked this powerful combination of, well, art, science, and deep human connection that makes transformational coaching such a vital force, potentially, for change in education. It really is about making the invisible visible, isn't it?
It is. And creating systemic, lasting impact, not just temporary fixes. We've explored how deep listening is truly a core, elemental, foundational skill for any coach.
Yeah.
Fostering not just understanding, but genuine healing and profound transformation within schools.
So for you, our listener, here's a thought to take away. We've talked a lot about deep listening in coaching. Where in your own life, maybe professional, maybe personal, could you choose to listen just a little more profoundly?
Yeah.
Not just to understand information, but maybe to truly create a space for someone else or even yourself, a space for healing, connection, and maybe even transformative change.